Toma lived in a small desert town where nothing exciting ever happened. He fixed machines for a living old robots, water filters, and dusty solar bikes. His life was quiet, simple, and sometimes boring. One evening, while sipping cold tea and scrolling through random auctions on the Intergallant, he saw something strange. Historic alien house, only to 100 credits, slightly used. Toma blinked. The image looked fake. It showed a shiny roundhouse, with no windows and only one door, sitting on a rock field under two suns. The description said it was once part of an alien learning station found on a dead moon. The seller wrote, "No refunds, may include minor energy echoes." He laughed. What kind of joke is this? Still, something made him curious. He had 200 credits saved up, meant for a broken drone part he hadn't bought yet. On a sudden impulse, he clicked buy. The screen flashed, "Thank you. Delivery in 12 hours." Toma chuckled again and went to bed, thinking the whole thing was just a scam or a prank. He didn't expect anything to happen. The next morning, Toma woke to a loud hum outside his window. He rushed out and stopped in shock. A strange silver pod stood in his backyard. As he watched, it opened like a flower. Inside it was the house, smooth, silver, and round. Just like the picture, the pod vanished in a flash of blue light, leaving only the alien house behind. It was real. His neighbor, old man Noro, walked over with wide eyes. "What on earth is that? An alien house," Toma said, still stunned. "I bought it for 200 credits. Noro laughed, clapping him on the back. "Well, that's the best joke I've seen all year." Word spread fast. People came to look, take pictures, and laugh. Kids call it Toma's moon egg. Some thought it was a high-tech tent or a prank from rich tourists. But Toma was still trying to understand how it got here. Curious, he decided to check the inside. Might as well see what I paid for. The house had one smooth doorway. It shimmered and opened silently when he stepped close. Inside, the air felt cool and clean. The floor was soft, like rubber and stone mixed together. Strange lights moved along the walls. Following his steps, he looked around. The room was empty, round, and bright. No switches, no furniture. Just smooth walls and a faint humming sound, like a sleeping machine. "Hello?" he called. His voice echoed oddly. Nothing answered. Toma turned to leave, but the door was gone. He rushed to where it had been. He touched the wall. It was solid, smooth, and unbroken. "No, no, no," he whispered. "Where's the door?" He tapped, knocked, even shouted. The wall didn't change. Panic rose in his chest. He ran around the room, looking for a seam, a button, anything. But the room stayed the same. He was trapped. Toma forced himself to calm down. He sat in the middle of the floor and breathed slowly. "Okay, think. This thing has rules." It opened. Before, maybe it reacts to something. He stood up and tried walking in different directions. After a few minutes, a part of the wall melted away, forming a new hallway. It was long and curving, glowing faint blue. He stepped in, unsure what would happen next. The hallway led to a new room. This one was square, with a soft white bench and a screen on the wall. The screen lit up when he came close. Strange alien symbols appeared, moving like water. Then, suddenly, they changed into numbers. Human detected. Trial. Begin. "What trial?" Toma whispered. The bench opened to reveal food. Real food. A warm roll, some fruit, and water in a shining cup. He hadn't said he was hungry, but he was. "Are you reading my thoughts?" He looked up, but no answer came. He ate quickly, then stood up again. The room shifted. One wall turned into another hallway, this one dimmer and colder. Toma felt like the house was watching him. The next few hours were strange. The house seemed alive. It gave him what he needed, but never what he asked for. When he felt tired, a soft bed appeared. When he got bored, a screen showed strange moving lights that made him feel calm. But the door to leave never returned. He even tried using his multi-tool to cut through a wall. The tool sparked and failed. The wall healed instantly. Toma frowned. "So, you won't let me go?" "Huh?" The lights pulsed slightly, almost like A heartbeat. He wasn't just inside a house. He was inside something that could think. Something that might be testing him. That night, if it was even night, he heard footsteps in the hallway. Not his own. He stood still, holding his breath. The sound came closer, then stopped. He ran out into the hallway. It was empty, but on the floor, he found something new. A small piece of cloth, old, dusty, and torn. Not his dot. His heart beat faster. I'm not the first one here. The house didn't answer. Thomas stared at the small piece of cloth in his hand. It was dark brown, rough, and old. Dust fell from it when he moved it. It was not his. That meant someone else had been inside this alien house before him. He looked around the hallway again, empty, quiet. The same soft blue light came from the walls. But now, it felt colder. Who dropped this? He asked softly. No answer. No. Footsteps, just silence. He placed the cloth in his pocket and kept walking, trying to remember the path he came from. But after turning one corner, then another, he realized something strange. The hallway behind him was gone. It had changed shape. There was no way back. This place is moving, he whispered. The house was shifting its own layout, like a maze that built itself while he walked. Toma kept going, following the only path ahead. The walls slowly turned green, and the floor became soft like grass. The air grew warmer, even smelled a little like leaves after rain. Then he entered a round room filled with tiny floating lights like stars. He paused in wonder. The lights moved when he stepped forward, swirling around him, dancing gently in the air. In the center of the room was a clear platform. On it was something new, a small cube, glowing gently. He touched it. At once, the room dimmed, and a voice filled the air. It was not loud, not human, and not fully clear. Still, it was not scary either. Calm, deep, and slow like wind talking. Memory. Capsule accessed. Observer mode active. Thomas' eyes widened as the light swirled faster. Suddenly, images formed in the air, blurry at first, then clear. He saw an alien creature, tall with smooth skin and glowing eyes. It walked these same halls, touching the walls gently, like it loved them. Around it were other beings, some small, some large. They were learning, studying, sharing thoughts through light. This house was once a school. Thomas stared in silence as the vision showed classrooms, floating books, and peaceful lessons. The aliens never spoke with mouths. They used light, shapes, and soft sounds. But one day, in the memory, the lights dimmed. The creatures began to vanish, one by one, until only the tall one was left. It placed something into a wall. Then everything turned black. The memory ended. The cube went dark, and the lights in the room faded. Thomas stood alone again. So this was your home, he said aloud, and now you're empty. The house made no reply, but the air felt heavier. He walked back into the hallway. Again, it had changed. Now the walls were smooth silver again, but dimmer than before. He noticed something new, tiny symbols glowing on the walls. At first, they seemed random, but after walking for a while, he saw them repeat. A loop, a pattern. He touched one symbol, and it pulsed with soft light. Direction, path marked. Suddenly, an arrow appeared on the floor, pointing left. Thomas smiled slightly. So, you want me to follow? He did, as he walked. More arrows lit up, guiding him forward, at least. Now he wasn't lost completely. But then the arrows stopped at a large circular door. It opened slowly, revealing a dark room. Toma hesitated before stepping inside. The room was wide and quiet. In the center was a chair, simple, metal, shaped like a human seat. Above it, a floating light blinked slowly. As he stepped closer, words appeared in the air. Sit, connect, communicate. Toma took a deep breath. All right, let's talk. He sat. The chair hummed gently. The light above lowered itself near his head. Then, without touching him, it shone a soft beam on his forehead. For a moment, everything went white. Then he heard a voice, not out loud, but inside his mind. You are different. Your thoughts do not follow patterns. Toma tried to think. Clearly, are you the house? I am what remains. Guardian protocol. Memory keeper. Why can't I leave? He asked in his mind. Entrance activated contract. Trial must complete. Purpose, measure the unknown. Toma frown. Trial. What kind of trial? Adaptation. Emotion. Instinct. You must be observed. So the house wasn't trying to harm him, it was studying him. One before you. Failed. She did not complete the cycle. Toma sat up straighter. There was someone else, a woman, human. She entered before the system faded, lost in trial. His heart pounded. So the cloth he found really did belong to someone else. She was trapped here to die. Where is she now? The voice did not answer. Only silence followed. Then, slowly, the chair powered down. The light above lifted back into the ceiling. The room brightened slightly, and the wall across from him opened. Toma stood and walked through. He now entered a completely different part of the house. This one looked like a real home. Soft lights, a table, a resting area, even something like a window. It showed a view of stars moving slowly. He didn't know if it was real or just a screen. But the message was clear. The house had changed from a trap to a test. It was watching how he reacted, what choices he made. It was seeing what kind of person he was. Toma sat down, staring out at the stars. If you want to test me, he said quietly, then you better get ready. Because I'm not giving up. Toma sat near the fake window, watching stars drift across the screen. He didn't know if the stars were real or just part of the house's design. Either way, they made him feel calm. It had been many hours since. The voice spoke to him in the chair. The house had grown quiet again to quiet, but he knew it was still watching. He stood up and walked slowly through the peaceful room. You're waiting for something, he said aloud. A reaction, a mistake. But I'm not going to break. I'm human. We don't give up. As he spoke, the walls flickered with soft light, faint symbols glowing in lines along the edges. He stepped closer. The symbols looked like the same ones from before the alien language. But now, a few of them were familiar. He had seen similar shapes during the vision from the memory cube. He touched one. The wall pulsed gently, and a message appeared in the air. Do you seek understanding? Toma blinked. Yes. I want to know what this place really is. I want to know what happened to the woman before me. The symbols shifted. Then, one by one, the walls began to change. The smooth surfaces turned into glowing panels. Each panel showed a different scene, some real, some recorded, and some drawn in soft light. One panel showed a star map. Dozens of glowing dots moved through black space. One dot blinked brightly Earth. Another showed the tall alien teacher from before, standing before a group of students, showing them how to shape energy into patterns. A third panel showed a young woman. She had short hair, a tool belt, and a determined look in her eyes. She was human. Her voice played faintly in the air. My name is Mira. If anyone hears this, I came into the house by mistake. I thought it was a shelter. But it's something more, and I'm trying to finish its test. Toma stepped closer. Her image faded. The panel showed her walking down a hallway that looked like the one he just came from. So she had been here, and she had tried to do what he was doing now. The next wall panel showed something else, a dark room filled with shapes that moved slowly. They didn't look human or alien. They looked like shadows. Failure to adapt, memory drift. Trial not complete. Toma's stomach tightened. Is that what happened to her? She failed. And now she's one of them? The house responded. By flickering all the panels off, only one remained, a soft circle of light on the wall. Inside that circle, the alien teacher appeared again, this time alone. It raised one hand, and a small spark of light floated above its palm. It changed shape, first into a square, then into a bird, then into a face. Learning requires risk, a calm voice said, echoing in the room. But memory lasts beyond the lesson. Toma stared at the message. He didn't know exactly what it meant, but it felt important. This house wasn't just a test, it was also a memory. A place built to remember a dying civilization. He walked through the next hallway. The walls had returned to normal, smooth, quiet, and silver. But now, he felt different. He was no longer just trying to escape. He wanted to understand, to finish. What the others COULD and single quotes D dot at the end of the hallway was a new room. This one was wide, circular, with no furniture at all, only lights above, and a strange object in the center dot looked like a puzzle, made of floating blocks, shifting slowly in the air dot as he stepped close. A voice spoke again, not from the wall, but inside his mind, just like before. Next phase. Language connection. Solve. Communicate. Remember. Toma reached for the floating blocks. As soon as he touched them, they reacted, spinning, glowing, and changing shape. It was like a 3D puzzle. Symbols on each side, like alien letters. Some glowed, others faded. He didn't know the full language, but he remembered a few symbols from the walls earlier. He rotated one block until a shape matched what he had seen on Mira's message. Then another. Slowly, the puzzle shifted into a glowing sphere. The house responded at once. The floor lit up beneath his feet, and soft sound waves passed through the air, not music, but something like it. Toma could feel it in his bones. The walls lit up, with a clear image this time, the alien teacher, again. But this time, it was speaking. You who enter this place must be ready. To be lost, to be found, to be changed. We left this memory for those who still seek knowledge. Even when we are no more. Then the scene changed. It showed Earth blue, spinning. With ships in orbit. The voice returned. Your kind came after. US, you are not like us. But we see the spark. We see the will. Toma whispered. You're watching us. You are the test now. Suddenly, everything stopped. The lights dimmed. The blocks faded. The room went still. Then the floor beneath him opened. Toma dropped not far. Just a few feet into a new space. He hit the ground and rolled up fast, ready for danger. But this room wasn't dangerous. It was a garden. Green vines grew from the walls. Strange glowing fruit hung from crystal branches. In the center was a large crystal, floating above a circle of soft grass. Toma walked toward it. Breath slow. The crystal spoke without words. Thoughts filled his head like dreams. The one before you could not finish. But she is not gone. Her memory remains. Her will lingers. You have reached the halfway point. Now, you must prove the heart of your kind. Toma stood in the middle of the garden, looking up at the crystal. He didn't know exactly what the next test would be. But one thing was clear now. This house wasn't just keeping him inside. It was hoping, waiting to see if humans could do what others could not, and maybe give its creators one last reason to hope. Toma sat quietly in the glowing garden, his hand resting on soft grass. The floating crystal above him still shimmered, sending soft pulses of blue light across the room. It was calm, peaceful, but he knew it wouldn't last. He closed his eyes and whispered, You said I'm halfway. What's next? The crystal responded without sound. Thoughts came into his mind, soft and deep. Now begins the trial of the heart. The host's protocol will guide. The grass below him moved gently, and a doorway formed in the wall, opening with a low hum. Toma stood up, brushing dirt from his pants. He took one last look at the peaceful garden, then stepped through the door. The new hallway was narrow and dark. The lights were low, just enough to see a few steps ahead. As he walked, the voice returned this time, clearer and stronger than before. I am host protocol 9. I am the final program. The last guardian. Guardian of what? Toma asked aloud. Of knowledge, of memory, of the final lesson. Toma kept walking. The hallway opened into a new chamber, large and round, with high ceilings. A single chair stood in the center, made of the same soft metal as before. Sit, begin. He took a breath and sat down. The lights above blinked, and the room changed. The walls turned black, like deep space. Stars appeared, moving slowly around him. Then, one by one, scenes began to play. He saw Earth, its cities, its skies, its oceans, people working, laughing, struggling, building. He saw war. He saw peace. He saw hope. He saw fear. The voice spoke again. You are not the first to find us, but you are the first to stay. Others turned back. One was lost, but you remain, curious, brave, honest. Now you must be tested, not your hands, But your choices, suddenly, the stars faded, and a screen appeared in front of him. It showed two rooms side by side. In the first room was a stranger, a young man who looked tired and afraid. In the second room was a small machine, broken and sparking. A soft voice said, "This device holds answers, secrets. It will help many." The voice of the host protocol returned. "One life, or many minds. Save the person, or save the knowledge. You may choose only one." Thomas stared at the screen. His hands gripped the chair. This wasn't just a puzzle now. This was real choice. He thought hard. If I save the person, knowledge is lost. If I save the machine, someone dies. He closed his eyes and made his decision. "I'll save the person." The screen faded. Why? Toma didn't hesitate. Because knowledge can be rebuilt, but a life can't. Maybe the person I save will one day make more knowledge or help others. A soft light passed through the room. The chair released him. Noted, human empathy high, pattern broken, unexpected. He stood up. The room opened into a new passage. This one was brighter golden lights in the ceiling, soft walls around him. As he walked, the voice continued. Others followed logic. You follow feeling. You shape the test. Toma reached a platform in the center of the next room. A glowing table stood there, holding something strange. It was a small crystal box. Inside it, a swirling blue mist moved like water. This is the echo of the one who came before. She was named Mira. Her memory is scattered. Her mind is lost in pieces. Toma leaned closer. Can she be saved? Only if one dares to carry her weight. It will slow you, hurt you, but it may bring her back. Do you accept? Toma didn't pause. Yes, give her to me. The box rose into the air and floated gently toward him. When it touched his chest, it melted into light and disappeared. For a moment, he felt nothing. Then, in his mind, he heard a whisper. Who's there? It was faint, weak, but real. Mira, I'm here. He said softly, you're not alone. The next trial began instantly. The lights vanished. Alarms sounded. The floor rumbled under his feet. Red warning lights lit up along the walls. Trial 3. Survival and burden. Your path is now harder. Speed is limited. Guidance removed. The room shook again. A doorway opened on the far wall. Toma ran. The hallway twisted sharply. The ground was broken. Pipes hissed steam. Lights flickered. The entire house was changing, becoming more hostile, more alive. Toma moved quickly, but the memory inside him Mira began to weigh heavy. His legs felt slower. His heart beat faster. His head ached. Hurts too much. Her voice whispered. I said I'd help you, he said through gritted teeth. You held on this long. We'll make it together. A beam dropped from the ceiling. He ducked. Sparks flew. He reached a wide pit with no bridge, only a narrow ledge on the side. Carefully, step by step, he moved across. Midway through, the wall cracked and a cold wind rushed through. You may leave her. Drop the burden. Pass easily. No, Toma said, gripping the edge. She's not a burden. She's a life. Then continue. He reached the far side and dropped to the ground. His arms ached. His mind swirled with pressure. Mira's voice was faint now, just a breath. He pushed forward through smoke, heat, and noise. At last, he came into a tall room, silent, empty. A glowing circle waited in the center. The host protocol spoke one last time. Final step, enter and be judged. Toma stepped into the light. Everything stopped. He floated in darkness. Then the voice spoke. Not from outside, but from inside his thoughts. You chose life over knowledge. You accepted the memory of a stranger. You suffered without hate. You're human. Slowly, the light returned. The room was whole again. The floor was smooth. The walls shone with soft colored and in front of him stood Mira. She looked confused, but alive. A soft light circled her. She stared at him. You brought me back. Toma smiled. We passed together. The wall behind them opened. For the first time, the exit door appeared tall, bright, and real. The host protocol spoke one final time. Test complete. Memory preserved. Humanity approved. Toma and Mira stood in front of the glowing exit. The soft light warmed their faces. For the first time since Toma had entered the alien house, the way out was clear. He looked at Mira. She was still weak but standing tall, her eyes filled with wonder. "This is real," she whispered. Toma nodded. "We passed the test." But just as they took a step forward, a sharp beep echoed across the room. The light at the doorway flickered. "Warning, final phase pending. Observers require completion of final data." The exit began to close. Toma turned quickly. "No, you said the test was complete." The voice of the host protocol returned, colder than before. "All phases must be recorded. Final challenge remains. Exit suspended." The soft room darkened. Mira stepped closer to Toma. "They're not letting us go yet." Toma clenched his fists. "Then we'll finish it, whatever it is." The room changed again. This time, walls slid away, revealing a long open space filled with floating platforms and sharp energy beams moving back and forth. On the far side stood a tall pillar, glowing with strange light. A voice echoed from above, "Reach the pillar. Time limited. No guidance, no correction." Toma narrowed his eyes. "It's an obstacle course." Mira looked at him nervously. "We're tired. What if we fall?" Toma gave a small smile. "Then we fall. But first we try." They stepped onto the first platform. It floated gently but shifted when they moved. A beam of red light swung across the path. Toma waited, then jumped. He landed safely. "Come on." Mira followed. The platform behind her disappeared. The house was raising the stakes. As they moved forward, the platforms became smaller. Some spun in place, others disappeared when touched. But Toma noticed something. The platform behavior followed a pattern. He stopped on the fifth jump. Watching closely, these repeat. Every third platform spins, every fourth vanishes after a delay. Mira blinked. "You're right, you're figuring it out." Toma smiled. "Humans adapt. Even when tired, they move faster now." Toma timed each step, guiding Mira around each danger. Sometimes they slipped, but never fell. The house was trying to confuse them, but they stayed one step ahead. Then the final beam came wide and fast, sweeping the path every 5 seconds. Toma waited. "We go now." They ran across. The beam grazed his jacket but missed. They reached the pillar together. It lit up under their hands. The room calmed. A soft chime played. The host protocol spoke again. "Expected failure. Unexpected adaptation. You used observation, memory, pattern-breaking logic. Your choices were not perfect, but they were human." The room shifted once more, and they were brought to a new chamber. This one was unlike all others. It looked like a control room with a central core pulsing in red and blue light. Around it were floating panels showing stars, alien worlds, and glowing symbols. The host protocol's voice returned, softer now. "Before you go, understand this place was never only a prison. It was a message, a final gift from a lost people. They wanted anyone to understand them." Toma stepped forward. "I think I do now." He looked at the panels and pressed a few buttons. The images changed, showing the original alien species, their peaceful life, their schools, their children, then their fading. The loss, the silence. Mira looked down. They knew they were going to vanish. Toma nodded. "So they built this house, not to trap but to teach. You have learned." The voice said, "But you also taught. You showed something the builders never expected. Humans do not follow all logic. You bend it, break it, rewrite it. That is why you passed." Suddenly, the control core glowed bright. A new door opened. This one didn't glow with warning lights or close behind them. It simply stood open, with fresh sunlight shining through. Toma turned to Mira. "Are you ready to leave?" She nodded. "Yes, but I want to come back someday." He smiled. "Me too." They stepped outside. The world greeted them. It was the same desert behind Toma's house, but now everything felt different. The air smelled cleaner. The sky looked wider. The alien house behind them shimmered like glass under the sun. Then, without warning, it began to fold. Panels sank into the ground. Lights faded. The structure slowly disappeared. becoming part of the earth as if it had never been there. Only a round mark remained on the ground, soft and silent. Mira stepped forward. It's gone. Toma nodded. Its job is finished. But in his hand, he now held a small cube, clear and warm. Memory core, protocol complete. He looked up. It gave us something. Later that day, Toma and Mira sat inside his small workshop, sharing food and quiet thoughts. She looked at the cube on the table. Do you think others will believe us? Toma smiled. Maybe not, but this isn't about belief. It's about truth. She nodded. And what do we do now? He looked at the cube again. We learn. We share. And maybe we build something better. Mira leaned back and closed her eyes. You know what the best part is? What? She smiled. You bought that house as a joke. Toma laughed. Best joke I ever made. A week had passed since Toma and Mira walked out of the alien house. Life in the small desert town slowly returned to normal. People asked questions, made jokes, and told stories, but no one truly understood what had happened. The alien house was gone, leaving only a smooth, quiet circle in Toma's backyard. But something had changed. Toma spent his days studying the memory cube, the gift left behind by the host protocol. It glowed gently when touched and showed images when placed under light. He and Mira took turns exploring the messages, the alien language, and the memories it held. Each time they studied it, the cube revealed more about the builders, their world, and the purpose behind the test. One morning, Mira placed the cube on the table and looked at Toma with a serious face. There's something new today, she said. Toma walked over, wiping grease from his hands. What is it? She pointed to the side of the cube. A new symbol had appeared, glowing orange, unlike the usual blue. It showed me, her, Mira whispered. Another human, not me. The cube projected a new image, a dark-haired woman with sharp eyes and a calm face. She stood inside the alien house, speaking softly to herself. Her name appeared beside her. Juna? Toma leaned closer. She doesn't look like someone from our time. No, Mira said. The date says 70 years ago. They stared at each other. Someone had entered the house before Mira. Long before Toma. The cube played more of Juna's memories. She was a scientist, part of a small team that traveled through deep space. Their ship had crashed near the desert region after detecting strange signals. Juna found the house while searching for shelter. At first, she thought it was a survival structure. But when she entered, the same thing happened to her. The door disappeared, and the test began. Juna was smart, careful, but she was alone. Her recordings grew slower over time, her voice weaker, her movements slower. Then the final message played. If anyone sees this, I failed. The house is not cruel, but it doesn't understand fear, loneliness, or grief. I couldn't pass the last trial. I couldn't carry the weight of everything alone. But maybe someone else can. The screen went black. Mira sat down quietly. She never made it out. Toma lowered his head. But she wasn't forgotten. The house remembered her. Mira looked at the cube again. She might still be inside. Not fully. Not like me. But maybe part of her remains. Toma stood up. Then we have to try. That night, they returned to the backyard. Toma carried the cube in both hands. The circle on the ground where the house had once stood now glowed faintly under the moonlight. As they stepped into it, the cube lit up brighter. Symbols moved across its surface. Then the ground trembled gently. A doorway appeared. It was small, just big enough for one person to enter. Toma looked at Mira. Stay here. I have to go in alone. She shook her head. No, we go together. He smiled. Okay, together. They stepped through the door. Inside was not the full house. It was a single room, dark, quiet, and filled with floating images, memories, pieces of Juna's thoughts. She appeared again, sitting on the ground, head in her hands. Not real, but a copy, a memory. The host protocol's voice returned, soft and distant, echo found. Stability low, identity fading, final retrieval. Possible, risk level high. Toma stepped forward. Tell us what to do. You must enter the echo. Bring her mind back. But understand, if you fail, You may become lost too. Mira looked at Toma. You helped me. Now it's our turn to help her. They took each other's hands and walked into the center of the room. Suddenly, everything changed. They stood in a twisted version of the alien house, dark, broken, with sharp edges and flickering lights. The air felt heavy. The walls whispered words in a language that hurt their ears. This was Juna's memory, warped by fear, time, and loneliness. Toma called out, Juna, we're here. You're not alone. No answer. They moved through the rooms. The maze shifted. Puffs broke apart. Doors led to nowhere. But then, Mira saw something, a light. A weak blue glow at the end of a narrow hallway. They ran toward it. In the center of a ruined room, Juna stood still and silent. Her body was transparent, like light. Her eyes were closed. Toma reached out. Juna, please, wake up. She didn't move. The room around them began to shake, system breaking, memory collapsing. Time short. Mira stepped forward. She's stuck in fear. Just like I was. Toma nodded. Then we show her what's real. He placed the cube on the floor. Images appeared of Earth, people laughing, stars shining. Moments of peace, of hope, of life. Mira touched Juna's arm. You weren't forgotten. You're not alone anymore. Slowly, Juna opened her eyes. The shaking stopped. The room calmed. Juna looked at them with tears in her eyes. I thought I failed. Toma smiled. You held on. That's enough. Mira nodded. Now it's time to come home. The three of them stepped back through the hallway. The broken house faded behind them. The darkness disappeared, and when they stepped outside, the sun was rising. Juna took a deep breath. I can't believe it. Toma handed her the cube. It remembered you. She smiled gently. Thank you, both of you. Back in the real world, the glowing circle faded. The alien house was truly gone now, but they had brought back something more valuable than any structure. A life, a memory, a connection. Morning sunlight warmed the quiet desert as Toma, Mira, and Juna stood in the center of the yard. The glowing doorway had vanished. The circle on the ground had faded. It was over. No more tests. No more shifting rooms. No more trials. Toma took a deep breath. We're finally free. Juna looked at the sky and smiled faintly. I never thought I'd see this again. The air, the sun, the sound of birds. You made it back, Mira said softly. You didn't fail. You held on longer than anyone. Juna shook her head gently. Only because you both came for me. They returned to Toma's small workshop, where the memory cube still rested on the wooden table. Its light was soft now, warm and steady. The alien symbols on its surface had stopped changing. The cube had reached its final state. Toma stared at it for a moment. Do you think it's still watching us? Juna walked over and placed her hand on the cube. No, I think it's resting now. Its mission is complete. Mira sat beside them. The test is over. The house gave us knowledge, but also something more. It gave us trust. Toma nodded. It trusted us with everything it had left. Later that day, the three of them sat around the table, eating simple food and sharing stories. Juna told them about the space expedition she had once been a part of, how her ship had crashed, how she had entered the house by accident. It was so different back then, she said. We didn't understand alien tech. We only knew how to scan and collect. We weren't ready for something that could think. And now, Toma asked. Now humans are different, Juna said. You didn't try to escape. You stayed. You listened. You helped. Mira smiled. We did what humans do best. Survive, Juna asked. No, Mira said. Care. In the evening, Toma opened a small metal box he hadn't touched in a long time. Inside were a few old items, tools, data drives, and an old communicator. He pulled it out and turned it on. The screen blinked weakly but lit up. He connected it to the cube. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the cube glowed blue and projected a final message. This one was from the alien teacher, the same figure they had seen many times before. To those who complete this journey, we see you. Our time has passed, but your story continues. Carry our memory, not with sorrow, but with strength. You are now part of us. The message ended. Silence followed. And then Mira whispered, "So, what do we do with this?" Toma stood. "We share it." He looked out the window at the town in the distance. People laugh at stories like this. They think it's all fantasy, but this time, it's real. The house tested us not for strength or weapons, but for what's inside us. Juna nodded. Let them know. Let the world know. Not everything alien is meant to destroy. Some are meant to teach. Mira reached for a notebook. Let's write it down, everything. Over the next few days, they wrote everything, every room, every trial, every choice. Toma called it the house that watched the human heart. He uploaded it to the global net. People read it. Many laughed. Some doubted. A few believed. And then something unexpected happened. A message came from an off-world research station. "We have seen similar energy patterns near the outer moons." Another message followed from a deep space pilot. "I found a structure like this once. I thought it was just ruins. I left. But now I wonder." Soon, explorers, scientists, and thinkers began searching again, looking closer, listening harder, because now they had a key. They had proof. Weeks later, Mira stood in a quiet place near the yard, looking at the stars. Juna came to her side. "Do you miss it?" Mira nodded. "Sometimes. That house, it changed me." "Me too," Juna said. "It tested me until I broke. But even in my weakest moment, it waited. It believed someone would come." "And someone did," Mira said. They smiled at each other. Inside the workshop, Toma was building something. Not a machine. Not a weapon. A model, a small version of the alien house. Smooth, round, silver. On its side, he carved words in both English and alien symbols. "Understanding begins with the heart." He placed it on a shelf next to the cube. Then he leaned back in his chair and looked around. A simple life, a small home, and a memory that would never fade. Far above Earth, in the quiet, dark of space, unknown satellites turned, some old, some forgotten. One of them blinked softly. A message was sent, simple, short, but clear. They passed. Humanity had done something unexpected. Not by building faster ships. Not by making stronger tools, but by showing kindness, loyalty, and hope. In the face of the unknown, they didn't win with power. They won with heart. And for the first time in the memory of the stars, the Watchers believed the end